Do I smell adventure? Well, then that can only be one thing cooking up to that taste. It's gotta be the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport. And what's this, you ask? This thing right here is a dedicated cooler that produces 178 PS. And this is some rugged features. You've got a barometer too. Alright, this is clearly meant for kids. Okay, we have a Q8 that's creeping up on our right side right here. And the horn is kind of terrible. It's a car that's a fusion of urban comfort paired with the boldness that take on any off-road terrain that you drive on, because that's what the Pajero was born to do. It was introduced as the Challenger worldwide back in 2012, but Mitsubishi decided to call it the Pajero in India, and that's what kept this company afloat in this country, because back when the BS6 norms were introduced, they decided to ditch it at last. As this one right here is a BS4 variant, and we're looking at a car that's really rugged, and yeah, in some aspects it might even seem dated, but it does its job, and that's simply dominating the roads. Looking at its sheer size, that's what it's all about. The front of the vehicle, looking at these solid wheel arches, they just simply stand out so strongly with this dual tone design. My headlamps, I've got a halogen and HIDs that are simply standing right out. I've got daytime running lights that encapsulate the fog lamps in there. Another little chunky bit of material that's holding it in place. Strong looking skid plate that's down there. Really bolstered design that moves into this parallel slatted out grille up here with the Mitsubishi logo in the middle. The hood, we've got 3 lines that run across it, one right down in the center, a couple on either side. And if you step back now, just step back and take a look at the front, you can be intimidated if you see this vehicle coming up in your rear view. Look at these wheel wells, man. That's what helps fitting in these 265 R17 tires matched up with those 17-inch wheels, which actually look a little bit punish, isn't it? 18 would have done this a hell lot of justice. I've got a pedestal to simply hop into this heaping heavy vehicle right out here. Pajero Sport is embellished on the bottom. I've got a little bit of a door protector out here, chrome garnish along these door handles. They're not keyless. Chrome garnish along the side mirrors as well. On top, I've got roof rails that can actually keep you standing along the side if you wish to for some reason. That's what you can do. And yeah, if you want to somehow hobble over, tie some luggage, that's possible too. Move along the back out here, I've got my fuel tank. That's a 70-liter diesel tank right there. The back end, really squishy, typical Mitsubishi looking tail lamps. No LEDs in them, just basic lights. I've got a wiper out here. Simply clean your back glass when all that dirt flies on when you go on your off-road adventures. I've got my parking sensors down there. My spare wheel, which is a full-size one, makes its way underneath here. You've got a towing hook out there, a single exhaust on this side. And my reverse lamp is down here as well. Flip it open. So you've got 500 liters of boot space out here, with the third row folded, that is. I've got a hook out here if I want to keep my luggage from moving, on either side, that is. And what's this, you ask? This thing right here is a dedicated cooler that's been given by this car. Clearly don't use this one. And you've got a 12-volt charging socket out there. Put a couple of cups in there and you're on your way for a good old picnic. Storage in here, you've got your jack and stuff that's can be just simply dumped in there. Well, for me, I would have definitely put in a subwoofer in there, that is. Got a couple of cup holders out here. This is all for the third row, that is. Pretty much bring that open and then you get a better look at it. Another light, get some good visibility in the dark. You could easily do that. To shut it down though, put your hand in there and just simply slam it manually. What's under the hood here? Well, it's certainly a heavy hood, especially with no hydraulic strut to hold it in place. You've got to put that stick up there to keep it in position. And right there is a 2.5-liter direct injection common rail diesel that produces 178 PS, 400 Newton meters of torque. That is experienced as early as 2000 RPM. 16-volt turbocharged intercooled system that definitely mixes up fuel and air to give you a good amount of power. Hobbling down here, you take a look at that ground clearance, 215 millimeters, glide over anything. You're not going to be touching anything while you move along it. I've got a double wishbone suspension at the front and a 3-link coil spring suspension at the rear, which makes this car absorb anything you throw at it. Getting into the Pajero's cabin, I've got an illuminated door scarf out here that says Mitsubishi Motors. Hobble right in from that pedestal, and man, it was quite a leap to get into this place. High above the road, literally like a truck, but visibility all around with big window panes around me makes it pretty simply amazing to look out of. A powered driver's seat with no lumbar support, and at this price point you expect both seats to be powered. In terms of comfort, the leather stitching does help. We talk about the materials that are in this cabin, and yeah, it's hard to touch along my door panel, along the dash, the center console as well. It's all hard touch down here, and the footwells hard again. But that's simply probably because of it being a rugged SUV. But yeah, even rugged SUVs today do have a little bit of a luxury touch to that, and somehow I think the Pajero is lacking in that department. I've got a lovely leather stitched steering wheel, leather stitching along the gear lever out here as well. Wooden vignette finish out here up in the center console. The AC vents are sort of vertical slats. The glove region, now when you talk about storage spaces, it drops down nice and deep in there. You could really hatch anything you want. It's got ample storage. It's almost like a bag that just simply flaps open. You got a pen holder out there as well. Shut that, you can lock it if you don't want your driver to be going through your things. Up here I've got a sunglass hatch as well. Click on that, it just simply pops open. Shut that out of the way. I've got my visors with vanity mirrors on both sides, the passenger as well as the driver. But there are no illuminated ones, so there's no lights up in that. You got another storage out here in the center console. Another hatch out here. Probably could store your cell phone or whatever. A couple of cup holders down there. And the armrest, I mean, just take a look at the size of this thing. You've got to be joking now, seriously. An SUV of this size and an armrest this small with a storage even smaller in there. And I think there's a 12-volt charging socket right down there as well. But when you shut it, you do realize that you're not even able to move this ahead. It's not even sliding forward. So you're going to have to sit with your arm just simply rested at the back on it. Now let's talk about the air conditioning system that I'm getting this breeze from in this car. You've got a AC system that has your temperature control on this side. You've got your fan speed out here, and the buttons actually click when you snap it on like that. You've got to press in on it to keep the air circulating inside there. You want the auto climate temperature to take over. It's up there, and you've got this multi-function information display that's up out here on the center console, which actually gives you a variety of information. Now it's giving me the compass right on top, my clock up there, got my temperature out there. Press the info button and I can actually even see what elevation I'm at. This is some rugged features. You've got a barometer too that's coming inside it, and yeah, that's about it. Talking about the infotainment screen in this car, I've got a 6-inch touchscreen by Kenwood. I mean Kenwood now, yeah, we're talking about Kenwood out here. I've got a radio in there, click menu. The response is kind of okayish. I've got a USB connectivity option as well. You've got Bluetooth for audio as well as your telephones. You've got an iPod connection option. You even got navigation. When you dive into that, it turns on, and I think it's probably not the greatest offering, because the maneuverability, it's been offered by Map My India in this car. So you can rely on this if you want to get to your destination, but pretty much there's no Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, so you're going to be feeling backward on that department too. I've even got a display up there that serves as an audio player or DVD if you wish to watch some movies. Below in the center console region, I've got a 12-volt charging socket out there. I've got my parking sensor on and off switch, as well as a red fan button to turn on the fan for the rear passengers. My gear lever, stitched in leather, it's a 5-speed automatic, and you even could move to the left for some manual shifting. I've got paddle shifters as well right here behind the steering wheel if I want to get that Pajero Sport feeling. And then I've got my wiper controls on this side, my light controls on this end. I've got cruise control. It's a 3-spoke steering wheel. The leather stitching is the only good thing about it because it looks really outdated right now. Got my media controls on my left hand side here. The mode is for the audio controls. My driver's instrument cluster features the RPM on the left side, my speedometer in the middle, fuel gauge on the top, as well as the coolant temperature on the right bottom. Now if I click this button right here, that's what moves me from my trip details, and that's pretty much it. I've got the kilometers in my drive mode right up there. Getting into the back seat of the Pajero, again hobbling all over the pedestal, and I'm into the back seat. Shut this door. Nice heavy thud, that's what it sounded like. And yup, sitting at the back is good. The seat comfort is decent. 3 at the back, maybe a little bit difficult. especially when you consider these are 60-40 folding seats. And yeah, if you have another person out there, that will definitely be the way to go with this, because the transmission tunnel in the middle, although it's almost non-existent, which is a great job, and you can comfortably sit without that bothering you, it is a good place to be in because I can see everything from here, and I'd enjoy my long distances too. I've got AC vents up here, no real temperature control. These are some buttons to direct the flow. I've got a headrest monitor out here, helped me probably get some audio information that's playing out there from the Kenwood system in the front. Again, this is sponsored by Map My India. It even says Map My India on top of it. There's also a CD slot out here. I presume it's going to run on this screen and that as well. Some decent storage in the door pins to house a 1-litre bottle. Automated windows, veneered wooden finish along the door panel, and it's again all hard material. A little bit of soft touch out here in the middle of it, but it's all hard all along the door. The 6-speaker sound system continues here at the back to give you some good music. The seats, they're comfortable. I've even got a armrest that pops right out there. It's again tiny, but it's sturdy. That's one thing. I've got a couple of cup holders in here. You've got your roof handles out here, pretty much handy when you're going off-roading. So if I really want to recline these seats, there's no way I can do that comfortably because I have no lever surrounding the seat right here. I probably have to actually get down and make it comfortably accessible. So when I get out of the vehicle, hobble down, there's this lever out here that is actually used for dropping the seats, but you can actually push it backwards further, so that way it actually reclines a little bit. You can actually bring in more head as per your seated position and preference. So that's how it works. The lever is in an awkward position, and I think they've done themselves a little bit of a snazzy, cheaty job right there. Anyway, you drop the lever down, you dink it this way, and it tumbles all the way across. So it's kind of easy to get access to the third row that's out there, which you will get into next. Then you'll actually have to mount your way all the way in here, drop this down as well. That tumbles across, and then I can actually drop these down here, which are actually the seats for the back area. And then I've got this entire loading area, which is massive now if I want to carry a hell lot of luggage. So now I've got my third row in position, which you're going to find out what it's like to seat in. Pull the seat back in the second row in position. Oh, alright, this is clearly meant for kids, because there we have that slamming in place. And now, so that my second row passenger can be comfortable, this is what it looks like. Okay, so I've even got adjustable headrest right here. If I want to move that up and down, I could do that. With a little bit of storage, I've got an ashtray out here, a couple of cup holders, a little bit of a hatch down there. If you're a kid, you'll probably be enjoying this because the windows out here at the back are really nice and huge. So you've got a couple of AC vents up here too that are going to keep you cool. I've got my roof handles even here at the back. And yeah, the windows making it area where it actually is. Now in order to begin driving, I don't have any buttons to press. I'm going to have to use this basic key, insert it into the ignition slot here, turn it on, slide the gear lever in a D. I've got a really short turn radius for a car this size for quick maneuverability. 5.6 meters is what it is. I see it so high. I mean, just take a look at the height, how high I'm seated above this road. Truck levels totally, that's what this is. Bump handling and stuff, I don't think so those things should be even questioned about, because this is an SUV that is built for such things. So right now as we're moving, the steering feels good to hold because of that leather touches to it, and yeah, that diesel engine noise creeps into the cabin. So we're now moving in this narrow lane out here, and you can see visibility is no problem whatsoever, and so is maneuverability, because it doesn't really feel that bad. It's just that you're seated so high that you tend to feel that it's big, but it's actually working to the driver's advantage. And people see you quite literally out here because they know they've got to give you way. When you come around, you got speed breakers here, whatever it is, there's no touching at all. You do hear the bumps inside the cabin though. That's something that I don't really like. It's almost like though you don't want to hear those sounds, but yeah, they do creep in. You can hear a little bit of rattling, and it goes on some bumpy terrain, as is with the city roads as well. Now we're not even talking about off-roading, so yeah, it is audible. I do find there to be a bit of turbo lag early. That does seem to be there, and the horn is kind of terrible because you look at the size of this car, you want something that sounds really loud. So you notice all of my driving details are showing up on this information display out there. I've got nothing coming around here in my instrument cluster. with power flowing into all my wheels. And it's on demand really. The more I float it, the more it grips the road and moves. If you want to overtake or something, this car doesn't really like to do that, and it wants you to keep it moving in a straight line. That's how it's been built. Ideally, if you take a look, you would want to, zip zap around because it's called the Pajero Sport, but then it's not all that sporty. It's more of a rigid SUV. You do experience body roll while you're turning around sides. So when you put it into the corners, you need to be a little bit more gentle with it. And then when it wants to be back on that straight line so that it can do what it does best. And that's just simply cruise. The braking, I think, because it doesn't have discs at the rear and we've been doing with drum brakes at the rear, I think that's a bit of a downer again. The feedback from the steering is good as well because it does weigh up. As you drive faster, you can feel it weighing up in your hands. Okay, we have a Q8 that's creeping up on our right side right here. That's some Audi, isn't it? That's an RS Q8 right there, ladies and gents. Special wheels on these Mumbai city roads. What an SUV that is, monstrous. Anyhow, getting back into the Pajero and its sportiness. And alright, using paddle shifters, does it really feel that much better? I'm trying to feel, am I getting more of a response? Probably, am I intimidating that RS Q8 in front of me as well? And alright, we're revving here now. Okay, we are all the way to the red line. Alright, the Q8 might have spooked us clearly, but the sportiness is adequate in the Pajero. And we are zamming this around here. What are you saying? This car is great with the paddle shifters, and I think it's a really neat touch because it wants you to realize it can deliver you sporty pleasure when you use it. But now I'm cutting around, I'm overtaking as well. And it seems like, yeah, it's fine. But the weight of the vehicle is pretty much felt. The Pajero. What a feeling. What a car. Yeah, it might be outdated in terms of tech, but on the overall, just look at how beastly this thing looks. Everywhere I went on the road, everyone just simply gave me way. It's a thrill to drive. And agreed, it doesn't have flamboyant far figures or whatever to back that up. But it's just simply a superb cruiser. It's got the stature of a thoroughbred off-roading SUV. You can go anywhere you want with this and it'll turn heads. That's what this car does. It paves its own way. But Mitsubishi needs to certainly do that to last in this country. Now I think they need to find some kind of a comeback because this Japanese car maker right here is required in this country and they don't need to be packing anytime soon. So I wish them the best as well. If you do like the Pajero, do give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribed. What are you waiting for? Do so you will not miss more drives like this one.